It's been a while since I've done any videos on this bandsaw mill. I'm going to try to get started on that today, and got a little work to do on this before I take it up to the welding area. I've been working up at the cabin, and we'll have videos coming out on that soon. They're pretty long and extensive, so it's going to take a while. But got a few structural logs that I need to install in the cabin, and we've got a log over here that I need to take some slices off of, and there's actually another one up at the cabin that I need to take some slices off of. And so I'm going to try to get this sawmill together just enough to make that happen. And we'll have to do all the bells and whistles that I want to do to the sawmill later on as time goes along here. But for right now, I just need to take a couple slices off these logs and get that cabin repaired. I'm going to take the cast iron table off of this saw, and don't need that on there, of course. It's kind of in the way for a sawmill application, but thing's pretty heavy. I imagine it's 50-60 pounds at least. We'll get that off there, and then I'll take this up to the welding area and start working on it. You know, bandsaw is built pretty strong, so I'm not going to have to worry about the framework on it. You leave the electric motor on it for the time being. It's a 3/4 horse electric motor. With the small blade that's on there, I'm sure that was enough for it. And I put a bandsaw sawmill blade on there that's 1.25 to 1.5 wide, and hopefully by then I'll have a gas engine on it or a diesel engine on it. I've got a few laying around, and we'll see how that works out. I'm kind of thinking that I can get about 18 to 19 inches on the throat once I take that table off, and that should be wide enough to take the slices off that log I have over there. So we'll see how that works out. I'm just hoping that this little tiny blade that's on here will take the slabs that I want off of that, but we'll see. I may have to order in some bigger blades. The band wheels on this thing are about 1 1/8 wide, so they should accommodate at least 1.25 to 1.5 blade. And like I said earlier, I don't know that 3/4 horse motor is going to pull those bigger blades, but if I can get these slabs done with this little tiny blade on here, then maybe by the time I order in the bigger blades, I can have that bigger engine on it too. been gathering up all the goodies to put my sawmill carriage together and the rails. I think these angles are 2 by 3. I didn't really measure them yet, but they're perfect for the rails on the sawmill. My original idea, of course, is to tear down that old hulk of a camp trailer and use the frame as the rigid part of the sawmill, with these rails bolted to that. I think these are like 10 foot long, and I think there's 7 of them if I remember right. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7, yeah. Cut one of those in half, and that gives you a good bed length, more bed length than I'll probably use. Then I've got some, what is that, 3 by 3 angle or something there for a little heavier duty stuff. And, you know, where does old exercise equipment go to die? You know, Grandpa Sinks a Lot has a place for it. That's hopefully going to be part of my carriage. These V-shaped, these are cast iron wheels. Should be they're greasable. Everything's greasable on them. Should be perfect for the sawmill. They actually have a little lock feature on them. So if I actually lock those into being straight off the rail, I don't have to worry about them wobbling around. But, sure how tight they are. Of course, they won't have to be too tight. This deep groove in here, they'll follow that angle iron. There's no issue. Unless you get sawdust and stuff built up underneath of them. I don't think in the summertime it's going to be quite as much of an issue as it might be in cold weather and it's snowing and raining or whatever. So these are just bolted onto this old plasma cart, and don't need rollers on that plasma cart, so all that stuff's coming off here pretty quick. I've been putting this project off for a while, but now with the lead time of trying to get a couple of slices off the timber I need for the cabin, it's time to put this together. I can't wait till next February to have them cut my timber. Anyway, I'll probably have to order in a heavier duty blade, but I'm going to try making the slices I need off that one timber down below with that little blade. If I go slow and easy, it might do it, I don't know. I think it takes about a week to get blades ordered in, so I may just have to do that. Gotta get the carriage built first. Good thing I went ahead and put my tarp up today. I got the other 3 plates sitting here ready to grind that old weld off, get them V'd up, ready to weld on my new legs here. Got the 4 plates for the wheels all ground up. I've got to grind some shiny places on my legs here. I don't know if they're legs or bases or whatever we want to call them. And then get them clamped up and get all 4 of them measured up, clamped up straight. And then I'm going to weld them. I lined up the pads on my bottom rails here, and got them welded on. I'm not finished. I'm going to do some more welding. And I've got 8 half-inch holes to drill through the square tubing so that the wheels will mount up there. Get that done, then it's time to line these pipe up. And it's going to stand up off the top of these to mount this bandsaw on. Alright, those 8 holes will allow me to get my casters on here, my rollers. But I'm not putting those on right now. I'm going to turn this thing over and get it leveled and lined out to put the first 2 pipes up. The first 2 pipes will go up in a cross piece. Then there'll be 2 more pipes on the back side of this that'll go up and angle over to the top piece. So these 2-inch pipe are going to weld right on top of these holes here. And the reason for these holes is if the pipe collects moisture, then it has a place to go without freezing in the tube and then causing structural problems. There'll be 2 more pipes welded over there on that end. A lot of people don't realize that they need to put some drain holes in these things to allow moisture to get out of those pipes. I've seen a lot of square tubing and pipe type structures that have froze up, swollen, and broken. In fact, I knew a guy that had a crane that was totally ruined because moisture got inside the tubing of that crane and destroyed it structurally. A little bit of a mock-up here. As soon as I do some grinding down here, and I can tack it in place. Got to get it all square and actually level down through here. This platform was put in level, so I'm going to double check it, but if I can get this all flat, level, and square, then I can get it tacked up. And I got to true up the end on the other one and get it tacked up over there. One of them is welded on tough. Now it's time to tack up the next one. So I'm kind of setting up a jig to hold this pipe parallel to that one. As soon as I get this lined up, straight, true, level, all that kind of stuff, and I'll tack weld this in place. And just like I did the other one, I'll stand it up and weld it tough with the bigger rod. I made sure that this was level. I made sure that I was level across between these two, and then I made sure that I was the same distance up there as I was down here apart from the pipe. So theoretically, those should be parallel and straight and true and plumb. We'll see. And time to stand this up and weld her tough. And even being as careful as I was standing this up, with just a tack on the top down there on that upright, when I stood it up, they were out of alignment, which means that that one was forward of this one. So I put a brace in here and a tie down strap on there and pulled it back true. Now I'll go ahead and weld that down there, and it should be totally straight there theoretically. I've got the second one leveled up and rigged up here. And I'm going to go ahead and get her tacked in. And got it leveled up, at least for the time being. The width measurement needs to go out at least another ½ inch, and then I'll reset my level again then. I also have to check for the square, so I'll do a crisscross measurement, get that the same so that I know I'm square. And once I'm at the right width and I'm square and I'm level, then we can work on this cross piece up here. This cross piece is going to be pretty important. It's not necessarily where the winch is going to be, but maybe that will lift the bandsaw up and down. But if I'm correct down here, and I get this correct up here, then I know that I'm going to be lifting straight, pulling straight. And hopefully it'll turn out to be a pretty decent sawmill when it's all said and done. What I'm trying to determine on this is the best place to bolt the slides that's going to allow that to adjust up and down on those pipe. And inside the bottom of this thing is one place. And I was debating on the other side here, because I can't get any further that way than right here because of this ridge inside, this rib. It's for the tension on the blade, and it also runs the guide here up and down. which is okay because there is an opening right there that I can get in. Just maybe not quite as convenient as the bottom over there, but I can get inside here and bolt that slide in there. So this will have to be turned 180 degrees to go on the pipe, but I can do that when I get it ready. And it's going to have to happen. I've got some electrics here that are kind of in the way. But nothing I can't deal with. So I'll put it one side right here. This is actually the light end. And until I take the electric motor off and put the gas engine on it or diesel engine on it, whatever I put on it, that will have a little jack shaft come out, and then the belts will run up here to where the engine is going to be mounted on top. I have to figure out if these electrics here are even required. There's some stuff going on inside here, some limit switches and stuff that I'm not sure exactly what they do yet. But I'll get that all figured out. So the first couple of cuts I'm going to do with this, I'm going to try to use this 3/4 horse electric motor. It's not like it's going to be used for sawing a lot of timber that way. I just need basically 2 cuts on a couple logs, so if I can get away with that, and then I'll order in the beefier blades, which I may have to do anyway. I may have to have the beefier blades just to make the cuts through those logs. Just a couple inch slice off each log that I'm going to do. So I guess we'll continue on. I went down below and found me this little 3-inch square tubing. A smaller one there, but this one here is the right length and is definitely enough support for that. Kind of like everything I build, I try to overbuild it a little bit, but failures are expensive and time consuming, so I don't really care how heavy this is. I've got machines here and at the cabin to pick that stuff up, so the weight really doesn't bother me. these will be the slides that mount to the saw itself. Next thing I got to do is drill some holes. What I have planned is this 3-inch box tubing. It's going to go across the top of these uprights, and this would will mount the winch and stuff on. What I've decided, I was going to weld that in there solid, and I decided no, that might not be such a good idea. So I took a piece of this old pipe and cut it in half, and that the other piece over there on the work table. So I'm going to do a little grinding on this, get it ready, drill a couple holes in it, and that a little grinding on that tubing, but that's going to go in there, and then it's going to bolt to those upright pipes. So yeah, it'd take a little more time to drill a few holes, but if I ever need to make modifications in the future, then that'll make it a lot easier. I can just unbolt the thing. Just kind of one of them just sitting on there loosely. I haven't tied it down yet, but got the other one drilled here. It'll go on this side of the bandsaw, and then I'll commandeer my son or one of my granddaughters to come down and help me get it all put on. Just even with the forklift, it's a little big and unwieldy to try to do by myself, but I could figure it out if I had to. We've welded these on. Now what I've got to do is get this piece clamped up to the top of these pipes and drill through the pipe. The 2 3/8 bolts on each side and holding those. This cross piece that actually goes up to the top of this, I decided to strap in place just to be on the safe side. Even wearing a hard hat, that might hurt coming down on you. But anyway, what that did is establish my spacing, which allowed me to drill these other holes on these slides and get everything straight. Of course, I had to reset the level down here on the base a couple times. Every time you mess with this thing, everything moves. So got everything level, got the saw level, drilled the holes, and now I'm just going to tighten up the bolts, put everything in place where they belong. Then it's time to bolt that top piece up there and mount my winch to raise and lower this. Leveled everything up again and got the upper bar attached in there permanent like. I'm going to mount the winch on there to raise and lower the head, mill head. So And the next thing I'm going to do, I got this big old piece of angle iron over here, and I'm going to bolt that in on these back two pipes, and then there'll be some supports to go between that angle iron and that square tubing up there. Got that piece of angle iron up there welded in place, and there'll be two angles going across here to that bolted piece, which will be bolted to the angle iron, so that piece and the legs that I put on that will come out if I need to modify or do something different here. And mounted a winch up here on this plate. Still have to do the overhead welds underneath, but I decided to go ahead and mount the winch, and found this old 3-ton block in my storage unit down there. I bought a smaller one, but the capacity on it was at least less than desired, let's put it that way. This son of a gun is heavy. So I'll use this one for now, maybe permanently, who knows. I had it sitting on a shelf, it didn't have a hook or anything on it, so I decided, well, maybe this is the perfect thing for it. Two brackets are now bolted into place, kind of squared up. Now this has to be, this back rack has to be pulled over to get it straight up and down. It's no longer straight up and down. I think the welds up there on that top angle iron probably pulled it out a little bit, but that's not a big issue at this point. I'm just to ratchet strap on this, pull it over straight, make sure it's plumb, and then pull these two together so that the angle iron is tight against that square tubing up there, and then just weld her tough. So at this point, this main frame is substantially complete. Now what I'm going to concentrate on is blade rollers down here for the right side here underneath this electric motor. Left side is already set up that way. I don't have to worry about that for now. Blade rollers, getting that sheave block straightened up, fixed right. And when my new blades come in, then hopefully I can get this set up to saw up those two timbers that I got to do. This whole snatch block here, it's going to work fine for lifting this head of this mill up. Yeah, found some 3/4 inch washers and a bolt to go through there, and that shimmed that up, keeps it lined up. But if you can see, that old block's been through all kinds of heck. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do that right now, but what I am going to do, you can see how damaged it is on this side. I'm going to take that all apart and take it down to my press and press her straight. And then that block will work fine for this. I don't know that I'd ever use this block for anything else, so it's perfect for lifting the head of this thing up. And I've got the rollers mounted on the frame. Starting to look more and more like a bandsaw sawmill all the time. I did figure out a problem with my winch setup. I don't know if you can see in this light or not, but that cable's not pulling straight. So what I'm going to do is drill holes over here and mount that bracket over here. It should straighten that out. If that sheave wheel was just slightly smaller, it might not be quite the issue, but I want to pull more or less straight up and down, so that'll help that. Get my switch on, get that fixed, and then one of the bigger things I've got to do is get, so this has got blade guides on this side, and that's the movable side, and I got to put a stationary guide on this side. Now eventually I'm going to cut this back a little bit, give me a little wider mouth cut, but to get these logs done that I need to get done, I'm just going to mount in here on this plate a stationary blade guide that most likely I'm just going to build. I'd like to do the cooks, but I don't have the money for it right now. So get that done. A few little things, you know, got to do on this thing to get it going. I got the wheel covers right there, and over here on this equipment trailer I set up some timber and 4 pieces of angle. And what I'm going to do this morning is get these timbers leveled up in here, and then lag screw this angle iron down to those. I'm also going to build a coupler, which I was going to need anyway, to couple these 2 sections. They're 10 foot long, so get a couple of these sections together. That'll give me 20 foot of bed length, which I don't need, but I need more than 10 foot. I figured the saw takes up 4 foot of space, and the timbers that I'm going to be sawing are going to be 8 and 9 foot long, something like that. Yeah. Get this trailer leveled up, and as soon as I get these mounted, then I'll set that saw head up on here with the rough terrain forklift.